Hey, sixth grade, I know you guys are bored and you are totally anxious to do all of your math, and so that is why we're doing this. Thank you for your patience. I know it's been a while. I know you guys are antsy and you just really want to do your work. So please stop using the classroom as a chat room. You're more than welcome to ask questions and talk. I can interact with you on there. However, it's really hard if there's actual questions for me to see those and to be able to answer them properly if you're just using it as like a hey BFF and talking to each other that way, okay? So please do not, if you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask them on there and I'll answer them as much as I can, okay? And as quickly as I can. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the next two lessons. We kind of started on chapter 17, which was talking about circles. So if you remember, we have the center of a circle, we have the center of a circle from the center out is called the radius, right? Your radius is from the center to the edge. So if your radius is 3 inches, how do I find the diameter? The diameter is the whole distance across. So through the center edge to edge, that is the diameter. So if this is the same circle and my radius is 3 inches, my diameter is 6 inches. The diameter is twice the radius. The radius is half of the diameter. So we're going to continue using information for circles. We talked about the circumference. So the circumference, remember, is 2 pi r. So 2 of the radius times pi. Remember pi, we use that symbol to represent 3.14. You can also use 22 over 7. If we're working with fractions, that's the best one to use, but most of the time we'll be using the 3.14 because almost everything that we do is going to be with decimals. The only time I want you to use this is if you actually start with a fraction. So it's going to be very rare, but you guys can do it. When you're using your calculator, please remember to abbreviate at 3.14. You do not want to use the pi button on your calculator because it's gonna make the number quite a bit longer than it needs to be. This will actually minimize and it'll shorten your decimals, okay? So we have 2 pi r, or we have your circumference equals pi times the diameter. And all that means is that 2 of the radius is the diameter, so the diameter is the same thing. These are the same formulas, okay? So what we're doing today, that's the circumference. That was what we did before you left. That's the distance around a circle. So today we're going to be talking about the area. The area of a circle is pi r squared. Now, if we remember PEMDAS, we use parentheses. There's no parentheses here, but there is an exponent. So that means with this, I want to square the radius first and then multiply it by pi, okay? Square the radius first and then multiply it by pi. So if it gives me the radius equals 3 inches, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say the area equals 3.14 times this radius squared. Now, what is the radius squared? It is not 3 plus 3 or 3 times 2. It is 3 times 3. 3 squared is 3 times 3. So 3 squared is 9. Then I take that 9 and multiply it by 3.14 in order to get my area, okay? You can go ahead and do this on your own, or you can do this as we're going along with it. I am gonna do a couple of these problems from your worksheet. So I have attached that as your assignment for this lesson. So we're gonna go through the front together, just like we do in class. And then we'll move on to some of your own work on the back, okay? So 17.2 on the front, we have your radius equals 5 yards. Okay, now what that means is I'm going to say 3.14 times 5 squared. 5 squared is 5 times 5, not 5 times 2, 5 times 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to take that and multiply by 3.14. Now, okay, so I have 3.14 times 25 is 78.5. So that's my area, 78.5. Now it is area, so it has to be squared. So I'm gonna look back at my label of yards. I'm going to plug that in here. So it's 78.5 yards, and it's yards squared. So just like we squared the radius here, my label is gonna be squared as well, okay? So let's try another one. Another one from the front. The second one there, it says my radius is 8 centimeters. So what that means is I'm gonna say 3.14 times 8 squared. My first step is squaring this 8. 8 squared is 64. So I'm gonna say 64 times 3.14, and that is going to give me 200.96. Now I look back here, my label is centimeters, so because it's area, it's gonna be centimeters squared. Do not forget the square part, okay? So we can go ahead and do that. It does say to round to the nearest whole number. So now's where I'm gonna go back to number one. Number one was 78.5. Because when I round, I look at the first decimal spot because I wanna go to the whole number. If it's 5 or higher, I'm gonna round up. So this becomes 79 yards squared, okay? If I go back to number 2, I have 200, I wanna round to the nearest whole number, so I'm gonna look at that first spot after the decimal, and it's a 9, so I'm gonna round this up to 201 centimeters squared, okay? So that's our area using the radius. Let's go ahead and look down below to number 5. Again, we're looking at the front, and it gives me a circle. Pretend like that's a good circle. It does kind of look like a Pokemon. So we have 12 meters is our diameter. So we have to figure out if the diameter is 12 meters, I have to find the radius. Remember, your radius is always half of your diameter. So my radius here is gonna be 6 meters, 6 meters. Now I'm gonna do the same exact thing. 3.14 times 6 squared. 6 squared is my first step. That's 6 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 36 times 3.14, and it is 3.14 times 36 is going to give me 113.04. Now I'm rounding to the nearest whole number, so since that is a 0, I'm just going to leave it as 113. My label up here for the diameter of the radius was meters, but since I'm working with area, it's going to be meters squared. Okay, we'll do one more together, and then I'm gonna set you free. So number 6, your diameter here is 15 meters. This is a little more difficult. So my radius, I'm gonna take half of that 15 meters. So I have 7.5 meters is my radius. So 3.14, remember my area is pi r squared. So 3.14 times 7.5 squared. 7.5 squared is a little bit harder to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on my calculator here, and I get 56.25. I still wanna multiply that by pi. So 56.25 times 3.14, and I will get 176. Sorry, let me double check. Yep, 176.625. I round to the nearest whole number by looking at this decimal spot. It's 5 or higher, so I'm gonna round up. So I'm gonna get 177. My label again is meters, so it's 177 meters squared. Okay, that's it when you're working with area. So we just did 1, 2, 5, and 6 together on the front, just so that you got that first little section there. What I'd like you to do on the back is I'd like you to go 1 through 12, but just do the even. So 2 through 12, even. 2 through 12, even. Okay? Now, if you are able, oops, Daisy, there we go. If you are able to print out the worksheet, awesome. Do that, do your work there. If not, pull up the worksheet, on the Google Classroom, and you can do the work on a separate piece of paper and just send me your work from the separate piece of paper. That works as well, okay? If you have any questions, don't forget to ask. You are more than welcome to ask questions on there, and I will answer as I can, okay? So that is 17.2, area of circles.